I decided to break it down year after year. 2016 is way back, but it's going to give you a breakdown and the idea behind who this person is, what his intentions are, some of the ideological things that he's gone through, why we are here today, not in terms of this live stream, but why we've got into the foundationals. And it could be a way to caution the guys that are following to understand that they're dealing with somebody that is very strategic, that really doesn't care about them that much. We don't care either. But see, my goal here is to uncover things that I can put together to file a whistleblower form to the IRS. There is actually a form like that. Okay, so people don't know this, but there is a form that you can file to the IRS if you uncover things like this because of how he structured his business. Also, I had to check some legal boxes to make sure that what I'm doing here today is safe to do, it's legal to do, and it's hedged against any potential lawsuits. So that is all cleared up. This is why it took me a little bit of time to finally put this out there. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to switch screens a little bit and we will start getting through it. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I will respond to my usual guys. Okay, we don't have memberships here, but we kind of have imaginary memberships. Okay, so I will respond to my usual guys. We'll have some FBAs come in and act a fool as usual. And the goal is to ignore them. You guys can handle it, rough them up in the comment section, okay? Please rough them up. Say mean tunes to them. Rough them up, rough them up, rough them up. That's exactly, Tone. It is public stuff, whether he likes it or not. But it's also very typical of the blacks to threaten lawsuits. So I just wanted to make sure that I was working within the framework so that nothing is defamatory. That is the goal. But I think I got everything right. I think I've had it. I've reviewed this to where anything that we share, I don't need a disclaimer for this. Obviously, it's for educational purposes. It's for awareness purposes. And as citizens of this country, we have a right to scrutinize 501(c)(3)s. Okay, so let me pull up 2016. I have redacted, because Africans, we are not like them, right? We don't do, they are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us, all right? So I did, redact a few things, okay? I redacted to remove his personal identifiable information, PII. I did my best. If there's anything that is PII that pops up out, I will apologize because I did my best to remove anything apart from his name, because his name is public information. But apart from his name, I have removed things like addresses, employer identification numbers, social security numbers, stuff like that. That is all being redacted. I did this redaction myself. So I want to put that disclaimer out there so that you know that any redaction that you see on this form is because of me. Okay, so let me frame this in nicely. Right, where are we? Okay, let's go to, bear with me just a little bit. Preview 2016. Now let me know if you guys can see the page. I promise you, I'll be looking at my notes. And that is because I've really summarized this. I don't want this to be a math lesson, because what is the point if this is a math lesson, right? So occasionally I'm going to look at my summary and my notes. I made notes while I was going through this. My notes is only designed to make this very, very simple, okay? So what you see here is a Form 990. This is going to be a little bit boring, but stay with me, okay? Stay with me. This is a return of organization exempt from income tax. The purpose of this form is for non-profit organizations. And everybody knows what a non-profit is. A non-profit means you're not doing it for profit. That's the best definition of it. That means you're doing something from your heart. Okay, you don't expect any profit. And because you're not for profit, you don't have to pay income taxes. Simply put, that is not income. Salute to you, well stack. So that is the thing. So Tariq's organization, and if you doubt this, you can go back and look at his most recent fundraising. It's called Melanoid Nation Foundation. This is it right here. I'm going to highlight this or put my mouse around it so you all can see it. If possible, blow it out, extend it out so you can see the page where you can move me to the side, okay? It's called Melanoid Nation Foundation. I have redacted the employer identification number. I've also redacted his address. That's why you see the black marks. I did those things myself. If you see here on your right, his gross receipts is $91,928. I want you guys to keep an eye on this number, 91K, okay? Just roughly 91K. That's the gross receipts for 2016, okay? I went too far ahead of myself. Right here, his tax exempt status is 501c3. That means he's electing to be a nonprofit. Hence the name foundation, right? Now, why you have to tell the IRS in part 1 in your summary, you have to tell the IRS what this foundation is or what your goal is. This is Tariq Nasheed's goal. You guys this is the first thing you should pay attention to right here. It says briefly describe the organization's mission and most significant activities. This is Tariq's mission. To advocate for justice and human rights for melanoid people of African descent. Welcome to the blacks. Welcome to the blacks. To advocate for justice and human rights. It was for justice and human rights, not to shit on Africans, not to shit on Caribbean people. Okay. For justice and human rights for melanoid people of African descent who have been adversely affected by systemic racism. So the initial business plan was white supremacy. Okay. I'm sure he doesn't like this. They're going to tell him. His goons will tell him. But I'm on him. Okay. So that's the first catch. You get where we're coming from, right? He was one of us. All right. He was one of us. So something may have happened along the line. Maybe somebody got his girl. Some Nigerian dude got his girl. I don't know. If you go down here, this is very concerning. The number of voting members of the governing body. What you're seeing here in line 3 is not very typical with nonprofits. You can ask anybody that has formed a nonprofit, runs a nonprofit. Even if you are the guy with the idea, there's going to be a few people around it because he can't do this work by himself. Remember, his goal is to be an advocate. So to go out there and preach the word, like Jehovah's Witness against systemic racism. That is his goal. But he is, if you see here, he is the only voting member. A voting member of a nonprofit doesn't mean you have a share in it. It just means that you can have a say in how the organization plans things, how they fundraise, how they do things. That is why this line is there. And most nonprofits, you can look up any of the other nonprofits that churches and all these other nonprofits, they will have, occasionally they will have. Let me skim this real quick because I think I screwed up your charts right there. That's good enough. So most nonprofits will have more than one person. This is a one-man show, like Umar. You see, they're all the same people. I'm gonna detour a little bit. I watched Sly. I think his name is Sly. He did a reaction video on my video on Duke Jackson. I watched the entire live stream. I didn't watch it live, but I caught a replay. I watched the entire live stream. I have to give it to him. Love him as a creator, bro. I like that he broke down the video. He was very objective. He criticized me at some points, and that was very respectful criticism. I'm not always gonna go punch at any black guy that has a disagreement with me. No. And I actually did agree with him. I said, I don't enjoy some of the things that I say, but if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Somebody has to do it. We have to do, what I would like to ask Sly is, how do you think my people feel when you have 20 to 30, 40 channels on YouTube? Constantly, every day, there's over 40,000 videos on YouTube speaking negatively about Jamaicans, Caribbean people, and Africans daily. You think we don't have feelings? That is a hypocrisy in this. We have feelings too. We have feelings. We have families. We have moms. We have dads. We have children. That disrespect has to be matched equally. It doesn't matter. That disrespect has to be matched equally. Give it to them. When they stop, we stop. Okay? And right now we are small. No big deal. We're not in a hurry. Right? We're not in a hurry. But there are 200,000 eyes that see this every month. That's good enough. And as small as we have been, we've taken down some very, very big creators. They don't want to admit it, but we have. We have taken down some very, very big creators. Something that they can't do with their big numbers. We have taken them down. So we are showing them that we even have power in their country than they do. We have more power than they do. All right. So, but anyway, if they come here and they misbehave, rough them up, man. Say all the mean things you can say, rough them up. We don't give a damn about these people. Anyway, let's keep going. So, number of voting members for Tariq's organization is 1. That's line 3. Line 4, number of independent voting members. You're going to find, like I said previously, you're going to find most organizations have more people in number 1 and even more people in number 2. But if you don't have people in number 1, which is usually one person starts an organization, it's too small, it was just him. Number 2, as the years go by, is going to change because as the organization is growing, you're going to have independent members that help drive that fundraiser. Okay? And here is a classic example of people that go out there and tell the world that they are foundational to this country, that they love this country, but they try their best to contribute very little to the country that they say they love. They do very little. They are loud mouths, but they do very, very little. I think we have a bot in the thing. You guys can, whoever is a mod, you can just kick that motherfucker out. Tell him to go get a life. Where are my mods at? Where my mods at, man? Get him out of here. We don't have time for these motherfuckers. You ain't got time for these motherfuckers, man. We don't have time for these motherfuckers. Where is my? Let me get him out of here. Where is it? let me get him out of here. Okay. We'll give him 30 minutes. If he comes back and he misbehaves, we'll add some more to it. I like to be generous like that. This is a serious conversation. We don't have time for small, low vibrating motherfuckers on the internet. This is real serious business. You know how many African and Caribbean braiding stores Tariq Nasheed has affected with his bullshit and the businesses that he's destroyed with the bullshit he's doing? We're not playing games, man. We're not playing games. I'm going to get the feds on him. I'm not playing. You guys think I'm a joker, right? You don't know what you're dealing with, man. I'm going to get the feds on this motherfucker. Just watch it, man. Give me about a year. I'll get the feds on him. He better do his shit right when it comes to taxes, because I will get him. See, I used to run a tax business, so I know how this shit works. Okay? I know how this shit works. Anyway, let's keep going. We got him out of here. Anyway, so number 3 and number 4, what you're going to see with most organizations is you're not going to see just one person. But in this case, it's one person on number 3. And if you see one in number 3, in number 4, you're going to see multiple people, because usually the people in number 4, they don't get a paycheck. They're just there to help with functioning an organization because it's a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit. So if you're a nonprofit, number of voting members of the governing body is 1. He's the only one that can vote. So he's a lone man. Okay. Let me fix your comments again. I see that it's cropping out. So I'll fix that and I'll come back. Chats. I had to blow this up for this live stream, so it's not our typical, but we'll scale it in nicely. Oh, that's not. It's cutting out a lot of your comments. So let me fix this real quick. Let me fix it. Right there. This should be good enough. You guys should be able to see your chats on the screen. Scale it up. There we go. That should be good enough. Anyway, so the number of voters, he has 1 person. Number of independent voting members, he has 1 person. And I'm going to get ahead of myself. From what I studied while going through this documentation is Tariq Nasheed was running a business that is supposed to be an LLC for most people, or a Schedule C, which is a sole proprietorship when you file your regular 1040 tax forms, the normal income tax that me and you would file every year. Because he didn't want to pay any taxes whatsoever, he ran an LLC through a nonprofit. It's very, very common. This is something that is very common. If you've looked at federal RICO cases, this is something that is very common with the gangs. When these gangs do when they get caught up for RICO, this is one of the things that they do to evade taxes. They tend to run their stuff through gang. They call it like a gang advocacy. There was a guy called the Big U or whatever his name was. He was running a nonprofit, getting money from California, but running it through a nonprofit and evading taxes that way. He even got some loans, federal loans during the COVID pandemic through the same nonprofits. But if you go look at yes, Big U in LA, if you go look at that, it's typically run by 1 person. It's a mafia style of doing things. This is very typical in these Black American street games when they tend to elevate themselves a little bit. It's a way to evade taxes. It's tax evasion. And the IRS would typically not immediately audit this. They rely on whistleblowers to audit nonprofits. This is what people don't know. They rely on whistleblowers to audit nonprofits. This is why I'm elected to be a whistleblower. Right? This is why I've elected to be a whistleblower. Don't pay attention to these blacks that come here in the comment section. We don't care if it's 3 guys watching. This channel is brand new. This channel has only been up a month. We don't care how many people are watching. Okay, we don't care. This thing is gonna settle. It's gonna post as a regular video. I'm gonna take clips of it. People are gonna see it. It's gonna get diluted into TikToks. I have hundreds of videos that people have reacted to. Those get seen by other people. You got to think more logically. You guys are too slow in the head. These blacks, man. Anyway, I'm trying to give the blacks a break today. Don't get there. Don't get me there. I might time you out because these distractions is designed to cover for their boss. Okay, so you're gonna go on a little bit time out till we get through the main things. Then you come back because we don't have time for. You could go into your black. You can go into your black channels to do this shit. Over here, we don't have time. This is serious business today. Okay. Typically, I don't do this. I just let them go. But I'm trying to get to something very important. All right. So there is on number 3. He's the only voting member, and number 4, he's the only independent voting member. Okay. This is one. Number 5 is first scam that you need to watch. This is not scam number 1. Total number of individuals employed in 2016. Tariq Nasheed said his foundation employed 0 people. Okay. His organization employed 0 people. This is also very consistent with the newer years. He employed 0 people. Okay, so this organization made 90,000. He's the sole voter, sole independent voting member. He employed 0 people. That means that he's solely responsible for all the 90K that he made that year. Okay, this is very key because I'm going to show you at some point why this matters, right? Down the line, I'll get ahead of myself. Down the line, he's going to say that he paid wages, but he also says on part 1 that he has no employees. That is very typical of people that try to offload the money. And again, because this is such a small organization, most of the times the IRS is not going to audit it until we tell the IRS to go look at it. Okay, until we tell the IRS to go look at it. Okay, where are all these bots coming? As soon as we hit Tariq Nasheed, we got all these bots coming, man. Let's give this one maybe 30 minutes. Let's see what they do. 30 minutes is enough to go through. Where are my mods when I need them? Let them sit in the back and watch the ass whooping. Okay, soon as we start investigating them, all of a sudden we're getting all these bots, man. Good. It's very possible that the wages can be consultants, but you have to issue 1099s to these consultants. And there is a section around Schedule O on the same form that you have to itemize who these people are. So good question. We're going to get there. But good question. Okay. So he says that there are no employees, which means there's no W-2 issued. And over here, total number of volunteers, this answers your question. Typically, if you have volunteers paid and unpaid, you're going to put that number here. Those are the people that go on your 1099. He left that blank because it says if necessary. So if necessary, you put a number. If not, you leave it blank. You don't put 0. That is why number 6 is blank. So technically, Tariq Nasheed in part 1 told the federal government or the IRS that he's a sole maker of this company. He's a sole decision maker. There's no independent voting members of this corporation. He doesn't have any volunteers and he doesn't have any employees. That's what this form says. Okay. So then the question will become, where does the $91,000 come? Here's another game he played. If you look at number 8, contributions and grants. Contributions and grants on number 8 is the most that most people that run nonprofits get their sources of funding from. Any nonprofit, look this up. Any nonprofit's money comes from GoFundMe's, all these donations, drive-by donations, all these things they do to collect money. Okay, because that is how a nonprofit get money. Or some grants, like a state grant, federal grant, stuff like that. Tariq Nasheed says that his Melanoid Nation Foundation, whose mission is to advocate for justice and human rights for melanoid people of African descent, didn't have a single dollar donated to it. That is not possible. If this is an organization that made $90,000, but it had no contributions, no grants, nobody gave them money, no. That means that the $91,000 came from a business that he ran underneath this company and didn't want to pay regular taxes on that business, so he kind of funded it through a nonprofit. That's a crime, actually. Well, it's tax fraud, if you really want to be honest. It's tax fraud. But again, the IRS does not prosecute these things until you do a whistleblowing or if they catch the audit. And that is very consistent with tax cheaters. This is why if you look at my list of tax forms that I have, when this FBA thing kicked off and a few Pan-Africans and other guys got an idea of what he was doing, he stopped filing taxes. So he hasn't filed taxes for the last 3 years. That is because if he does file it, we're going to see it. And now he cannot put 0 on line 8. 0 on line 8 means that he's not showing GoFundMe contributions. He's not showing Kickstarter contributions. This is why line 8 is 0, and this is also why he's not filing any new taxes. You got to try to understand the psychology behind people that consistently cheat and steal. These are not patriots. This guy believes there's systemic racism against people of African descent. Okay? So he's not over here trying to hold the line for massa. That's not what these people are. Okay? We're going to get to Dennis Sterling tomorrow, so you guys will know what I've uncovered on that guy too. I know these people. Guys, I study the blacks. Okay? I'm a student of the blacks. I study these black people, bro. I know how they process things. I know how they think through things. I group them into classes. So I have my class of way I group them. So when I put you in that class, I know that there's always something fishy. This is why when I hit one of Tariq's boys, Black Alpha Network, he never came back. Because I know how they process things. I know how they think. It's very, very hard for these fuckers to beat me, man. It's hard. I'm too sophisticated for them. The things I'll uncover before I leave YouTube, y'all will be surprised. But let's keep going. So far, I've already pointed out 3 or 4 inconsistencies. We're only on page 1. Okay. So Tariq says then that there are no contributions and no grants. Then on line 9, we're not going to go through every line because a lot of the pages are yes and no questions, but I did summarize all of it. So the points that we skip, I'll explain to you so that it's not a long stream and it's not a boring chat, right? I want this to be very targeted, very specific, and I'm willing to answer your questions. Not these blacks that come in and throw tantrums. I want people that really want to understand this stuff so that they can go home and process everything that I gave them. And this will also set the stage for the subsequent taxes, because the money you're seeing here is very small. These things will start getting into deep hundreds of thousands, close to $1 million. In some cases, I think a little bit more than $1 million in some cases. So this thing is going to start to ramp up. And if you look at the real tax liability on this guy may have squeezed in a couple $1 million from tax liability from doing this. So this is not some joke. These FBAs are looking at this like, oh, this guy is just joking on the internet. There's only 10 people watching. No, the feds are watching. That is the point. The feds are watching. I'm not doing this for views. The feds are watching. I make $2 per live stream. So it's not like I'm doing this for money. Come on, dog. I'm not doing this shit for money. I make $2 per live stream from the ads. So it's not worth it, right? If really money is the driver. The driver is to shut these businesses down. The FBA business. My goal is to shut it down. The same way I hit the Passport Bros, only that the Passport Bros was just a joke. I was just joking with them. I wasn't really taking things seriously. These guys, I'm willing to really take them down. That's the difference. I'm not here. I'm this sensitive, feminized man looking at views and clicks. I don't give a damn, bro. If this is I'm making this public information, federal authorities are gonna see it. This video, when it posts, it'll be tagged at FBI. They're gonna see it. At IRS, they're going to see it. And because they are tax experts, they have software that runs this and tells them exactly all the scams. Then they just do reverse engineering on where the money went. Yes, I'll give you the breakdown of how to blow the whistle. I'll get all these motherfuckers. I know, see, when you run these things and you're like a perpetual scammer, most of the time they scam the IRS because they don't want to really disclose how much money they make. So I knew that he doing this as a nonprofit, there's steps to go through this form. And like I said, luckily, I used to do taxes as a business. So I have an idea how this works. And this is why I was like, let me get on this shit. Let me get on this. Took me a whole month to get through some of this, but let me get on it. So this is where we are. But eventually my goal is to completely put him down. Get him off the internet, okay? That's my goal. All right. So, or at least force him to change his rhetoric and put some respect on the African name. Shout out to our Caribbean people that went to, that one man that went to Glover. Mr. Glover is Caribbean. He's one of us. That is why they are quiet, you know. These FBAs were celebrating somebody that beat a Kenyan at a marathon. You know, where our Caribbean brothers are on the moon. They are on their first black person to circle the moon. Yeah? That man is from the Caribbean, born in California to Caribbean parents. That's what we're talking about. That's what we want to hear. We're gonna do a whole live stream on it. I need Afridamos on that live stream. You know, that is up, man. That is up. This is where their problem is. When I do Dennis Sterling tomorrow, you're gonna see the evolution of where this hate comes from. It comes from the fact that we're giving it to them, bro. You know, if they are not shutting up and dribbling, they got no chance, bro. They got no chance. But anyway, I listened to Sly's video yesterday and said, I got to be nice to these people a little bit. This is now serious business. But anyway, let's keep going. So you got the summary right there, right? He says he's the only man. He's the only voting member. He's got no employees and he's got no volunteers. A one-man show, not even a volunteer. Okay? And then he got no contributions. So this business, nobody gave him any fundraiser, nothing. If you are a non-profit and you cannot raise money, you're not a non-profit. You're a business. This is why this is a scam. Okay? I want you to think about this logically. If you're a non-profit, non-profit's goal is to beg for money. That's what non-profits do. But if your non-profit didn't get any contributions, but that same non-profit raise money on line 9 called program service revenue. Program service revenue is a tactic these people use to run LLCs as nonprofits not to pay taxes. A lot of the New Jersey and the Chicago mafia, this is how they used to redistribute their money, through friends who would run nonprofits. So this line item, there were some years the IRS used to really go after them for program services. The way program services means technically, you can say you're selling my merch here, right? And I can then say all this YouTube money I'm making or all this YouTube revenue is not income, it's a nonprofit. And then instead of paying taxes on what I made on YouTube as a 1099, I take those 1099s, run it through Melanoid Foundation, and say this money that I earn from live streams, from selling merch, which is a business, technically, commercial business. When it comes to taxes during the tax season, it's not a business. It's now a nonprofit. And then for him to live and pay his bills, because he runs that as a nonprofit, he's gonna start spending that money. And I'll show you where the money goes and how slick he is about this. They start now deducting large sums of money as deductions for their personal living. So if they go rent a car, they'll run it through that nonprofit. If they go pay their daughter's school fees, they'll run that through the nonprofit and say, hey, we just gave this girl a scholarship. There are no rules to guard that. So they kind of work around it as a loophole until you blow the whistle. This is why usually journalists do this, but because there's so many 501c3s in the US, most of the times, if you're not really a big corporation, it's hard for them to track you down. I'll give you a more recent example. The Somalis in Minneapolis. What were they doing? They were all running their scams through nonprofits. The reason it gained national attention, one, it was political because it's the Somalis, obviously immigration talk. But secondly, is the amount of money that went through them and how they disbursed that money. But with the Somali nonprofits, their number 8s were not zero. Their number 8 was grants from the state of Minnesota. Their number 9 was very small. I've seen some of those nonprofit documents. Their 9s were very small. Anybody that does this in reverse is a tax cheater. Ask any accountant, they'll tell you this. Anybody that has more number 9 than number 8 is usually a tax cheater. It's an old trick in the game, bro. It's an old trick in the game. And we're exposing it, okay? So here he says that nobody gave his organization money in all of 2016. And nothing in the prior year, nothing in 2015. The organization was formed in 2014. So 2014, 2015, no dinero. 2016, again, no contributions and no program services. So something that was zero, didn't receive any grants, because mostly if you don't receive grants, then you're not a foundation. If you don't receive contributions, you're not a foundation. People are not giving to you. You got to think about this. This is technically charity. Charities raise money. This guy is saying to the IRS, he did not raise any money, but he made money. This is what number 8 and number 9 means. This is why I said I'm going to break this down for everybody to understand. Number 8 and number 9 means that he is telling the IRS that he couldn't raise any money through fundraisers, but he still made money through a business connected to the organization. What is that business? He doesn't tell. It could be YouTube AdSense. It could be TikTok money. It could be any social media platform money. These monies are supposed to be taxable income, but he doesn't want to pay taxes, so he runs this through a nonprofit. Most of these are typically not really audited until you really, really run it hard, year over year over year over year. And then the IRS will start doing reverse money trace. Where does the money go? How are you spending the money? And most of the people that do this will typically serve about 5 to 10 years in jail if caught. And the only way you catch them is you have to blow the whistle. And we are going to do that. On this show, we are going to do that. We're going to go through every year of it. I'm going to release it maybe every 2 weeks. We'll do one live stream every 2 weeks because every year is different, but the dynamics are the same. Someone said nobody's watching, but you're here. You're here. It's not intended for you. This is intended for the feds. You think we're playing games, right? See, if what we did to the password bros is not good enough for you, keep dreaming, bro. You're messing with the wrong dude. You're messing with the wrong dude. I told you, you guys have never seen anything like this, okay? I came prepared for y'all, man. I really came prepared for you. This is going to be a systemic 2-year project to clear all this nonsense out of our social spaces. When I'm done, then I'll be done with y'all. I'll go do something else. I'll go do Nick Fuentes on the other channel. All right? Okay, so let's get back to business. KFC, if they come in and they try to disrupt the show, man, kick them out. Today, we're not playing games with them. They can come to another show. We don't care. Today, we're kicking their ass, man. We don't give a damn about their shit. Look at how they're throwing tantrums to protect their leader. When the feds come knocking, there will be no protection there because they're going to see this. I'm going to tag them in this, but I will blow the whistle. I'll file the exact form to blow the whistle. I will blow it. They call it snitch. No, I'm not snitching. I'm a whistleblower, but I'm not doing anonymous. I am claiming that I did it. I'm claiming the takedown, okay? And there's nothing they can do about it. I am claiming the takedown because I don't fear any repercussions. I don't work for him, so what should I fear? I'm claiming the takedown. This is only page 1, all right? Look at how many scams I've uncovered just 1 page in. We're not even done yet. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so he says that he made $91,000, but none of that came from donations and contributions or anything that most charities get their money from. We're going to see if there's any point he explains where that comes from. Okay, so the total revenue is about total money made is about 91,000 right here. Okay, I highlighted it in blue. You guys can see it. If you go here, he's expensing, as you can see in line 17, Tariq Nasheed is cutting $60,000 right off the $90,000 in expenses. You see where the game is? This is what I explained to you earlier. That something that didn't have any donations, all of a sudden has such a huge expense. What are you spending money on if you got no contributions and if you did no fundraisers that gave you any contributions? This is where most of these cheaters that do these 501c3 things do. This is what he spent his regular money. This is the regular money he spent, like paying his kids' school fees, buying air tickets to go to a place, flying to Miami to hang out with the boys. Then you just expense it through that nonprofit. This is why this number is so big. For an organization that couldn't raise any money, $0, right? Niet, zero. And claims the money came from program services. This is not very proportional to the amount of expense that such organizations will have. So when you blow this whistle to the IRS, they're going to go through the organization's bank account for that year, and they're going to see, first of all, if this 60,000 number is right, okay? And remember, if it's off by even $20, that's technically tax fraud. Also, but I think it'll be off by a lot. They're going to see what those expenses are. Did he go to Walmart to buy a deodorant or some African sandals in the name of the organization? Whatever he did that doesn't tie into advocating for justice and human rights for melanoid people. If you're advocating for justice and human rights for melanoid people, a lot of that goes to lobbying policymakers, right? But in this case, there is no policymakers that are talking to Nasheed to do anything. So this was a plain, thought out, methodical scam of the federal government. And that is the proof. The onus is on him to say, no, you're lying. Well, I'm not lying. When he goes on his live streams and they bring these things up, he even denies that Melanoid Nation Foundation is organization. He leaves live streams the moment they mention this organization. But this is now proof that he formed it in 2014. Okay, it's right here on the form. You guys can see it. It's more proof that he claims to be of African descent. Okay. The next proof is that he's the only person that runs this and he's the only voting member. And he had no volunteers, so no 1099s and no W-2s, no employees. Yet he spent $60,000 on this organization. Okay. So you got the details. Now on the bottom here, what you're seeing is very typical revenue less expenses. So if his revenue is $91,000 and he spends $60,000, then that leaves the organization with $31,827. That is what you're seeing right there, which I've just highlighted, right? Simple math. Now with tax forms like this, it's going to ask you what your assets were leading up into this. Remember, when we're up there, and some of you might have to watch this video again. When we started, Tariq Nasheed said up there, okay, that previously, right here, prior year in number 8 and number 9, there was 0. There was no numbers in the prior years. I hope you guys can see this. In number 8, right here, he said there was no money from the previous year. There was nothing for program services, his scam line. There was nothing there, right? He doesn't show any money from the previous year in these columns. But miraculously, he shows $31,516. So this is not very common, okay? This would happen if this number, as you see here, 31,516, shows up here 31,827 on the previous tax form, which he didn't file. And there will be numbers here leading up to this number. So this is already a taxation error typically done by people who scam the IRS. If anybody is a CPA, you can, if I'm saying something that is off, point it out to me, because we can always learn. But I used to do this for a living, so I know exactly what I'm telling you when I'm looking at this form. The very day I downloaded these forms, it took me about 10 minutes to see the scam. I didn't even have to research anything. It was almost evident to me. And the question I asked myself when I was looking at this was like, why is Tariq Nasheed out there like that? He could have cooked this shit up and made his money quietly if he did everything else but didn't disrespect the Africans. Or maybe they thought the Africans were not educated enough to understand this. They got a whole shit coming, bro. They got a whole shit coming. So this is where it's saying. He said he had no assets according to 8 and 9, but that in 20, he's declaring that he had $31,000 in profit the previous year. Okay? So what you see here on your right is when you add the starting year assets, 31,516 to 31,528 here. So if you add this here, 2016 one to this 2015 one that miraculously appeared, this is where this 63,343 comes from. You can do this at home. Okay? So that's where this number comes from. So this is now the new asset leading into next year. I found that when you go through the subsequent years, like this number that you see, 63,343, if you go to 2017, that number should be here somewhere. there are some years where the numbers don't match. So this guy was doing ghetto taxation. He was running his taxes. He was not keeping his books like a serious person. This is why, when I say these people are jokers, I don't want to make this about the blacks because I want them to learn from this. So today we're going to give them a bit of a break, okay? I want them to learn from this. And I also want them to comfortably share it in their live streams without worrying about me throwing a jab on black people. So today I'm going to be very sensitive when I talk about the blacks, okay? I'm going to be a bit more lenient. I just want this to be about Tariq so that you guys know that I'm not making shit up, everything that I'm showing, and I'm breaking it down in a language that everybody can understand. I don't think this is any complicated at all. I've narrowed it down to just regular, life expenses for everybody to be able to understand it. Okay, so this is where we go with this, all right? I'm going to go to my notes and tell you what we've learned from this page, because this page tells us a lot. Then we'll start going into the expenses. The first question you guys probably have is, where did the $91,000 come from under program services? And also, how did he spend $60,000 and what did he spend it on if he has no employees, no volunteers, and no people to pay wages to, and he's the only person? If he spends the $60,000 on himself for what he considers his own way of advocacy, then that is also technically immoral, because that's him saying, hey, I just made this organization up to raise some money, to make some money, and whenever I have a life expense, I can run it through me, and there are no independent observers, and nobody can answer any questions. Okay, now you might think, oh, 90K is not a lot of money. Oh, Nana, why are you focused on 90K? This is kind of like his first year. This thing gets in the millions, okay? This thing gets in the millions as we get into like 2020 and up. So you have to be you have to see, I think, if you run, I think this is a regular LLC that he ran it as a nonprofit. I think he has a tax liability of at least $1.5 million, federal taxes. Add California to it, probably even more. I think he owes, if you add California taxes to it, this scheme he ran cost the government about $2 million, if not more. And I'll break down all the numbers. So whenever I'm done with all of this, I'm going to take these numbers, run it through my regular tax software with its normal expense sheets, make up imaginary family size, and assume that his wife doesn't make money, right? And I'll be able to get a generic idea how much money he owes the IRS over these years that he's been scheming the government. But from just general observation, this guy would have owed some millions if he didn't run this scheme. So not only is he stealing from the grift that he does, he's even doing scheming from the federal government with his tricks that he did, which we're about to let the feds know about. So this is page 1. Let me get to my notes. I have a whole Tariq folder. I used to have an O'Shea folder, but we gave O'Shea a break. We're not going to do O'Shea videos anymore. We gave him a break. When he told me about some of the stuff he was going through, I was like, you know what, that's enough. That is enough. That is enough. Sometimes, you when a brother is down, you just can't keep going hard like that. You just move on to the big guys. Okay. So from what we've done so far, I listed what your potential questions are. Okay. Why are contributions reported as 0? That is a big red flag. This is very common with tax cheaters. Okay. So that's your first question. I've answered it. Okay. Now, as we move, we're going to move through some pages. But in that $60,000 that you're seeing, I'll show you proof, but I'm telling you ahead of time. In that $60,000 you're seeing, Tariq says he paid 36,000 of that money in wages. But in box 4, box 5, and box 6, he says he has no volunteers, so no 1099s. He has no employees, no W-2s, and is the only governing body. That means, and you're like, okay, so what if he paid himself 30,000? Yes, you can. But in this same tax form, I'll show it to you again. Tariq Nasheed says that he didn't pay himself. So not only is he stealing, most people will steal a little bit. This guy went for the whole thing. Okay, he's telling the IRS that he's the only one that runs the show, doesn't have any employees. And then on the same tax form, he tells the IRS he paid $36,000 in wages. That does not make sense. It doesn't. How does that make sense? You don't have any employees, you don't have any volunteers, because you're supposed to list those volunteers in number 5 and in number 6. And your employees. And also, even if you have people that are just contributing but are not taking a salary, you got to put that on number 4, because those are independent voting members of your governing body. This is a one-man show that didn't pay any wages outside and didn't pay any wages to himself. How does he have wages of 36,000, which I'm about to show you? So in case you're asking, oh, he paid himself, here's the line item right here. Benefits paid to or for members. Tariq says 0. Okay, so he didn't pay himself anything. This is your expenses right here on the left. As you can see, these are all your expenses, right? So his expenses, I placed my camera really at the wrong spot. Look at the expenses. Grants and similar amounts paid. So he didn't give anybody grants, right? So 0. Benefits paid to or for members, 0. So he didn't pay anybody any benefits, nothing, no money out. Salaries, other compensation, employee benefits, he put 0. There are no salaries, there are no employees. Okay? Total fundraiser expenses, 0. So if he has no expenses of all these items that I just listed, where did $60,000 go? Well, this is a trick that most tax cheaters do. Again, online everything, like everything is falling in the playbook of people that cheat. He says there are other expenses. Because the IRS provides this line, which goes on part 10, but it provides this line. He puts a big amount of money here, $60,000. Okay? But in that, when we go back to part 10, you see it. In that line, he's going to go back and fool the IRS and say, out of that $60,000, I paid salaries. He didn't want to list the salaries. You know why you don't list the salaries here? Let me give you the game. You don't list the salaries here because you have to accompany this with a W-2 form. You have to file a part of the W-2 form to the IRS so they have a record of it, and then you have to send a second form to whoever you paid so they can file their taxes. When you go to file your taxes, the IRS has a copy of your W-2 form, and you have a different copy of the W-2 form. That's how tax software is supposed to match that you actually got paid that money. The employer is supposed to file those W-2 forms to the IRS and then send you a copy before January 31st for you to be able to file your taxes. So if Tariq puts salaries there, he needs to send people W-2 forms. But he didn't want to do that, and which is, again, part of the theft. So they go there and they do ghetto expenses. They put that in other expenses, where sometimes you can use a pen and paper to write down what those expenses are. IRS computer systems don't typically pick those up. And then you don't get an audit and you move on to the next year. He may or may not see this video, right? You know, these people are like that. But the clips, I'm going to try to get a good summary of this, post the clips up. People are going to see it. But my goal is not for Tariq to see this. My goal is for the federal government to see it. And even if they don't see it, because they're always on the web, they are really they always watch stuff, okay? Even if they don't see it, I will send it to them. I will let them look at it. And the beauty of this is the federal government provides means for commentators, independent observers, contributors to file whistleblower reports when they uncover theft of federal resources. It's still very active, my brother. It's active. The new fundraiser on Kickstarter, we'll go back there and look at it. The new fundraiser on Kickstarter, anyway, I don't want to disturb this, but we'll go back and look at it. The new fundraiser on Kickstarter is being raised under Melano Nation Foundation. This same 501c has not filed taxes in the last 3 years. These are very serious things that this guy is doing. But he's messing with the wrong people now. He's really messing with the wrong people. I think when they were cooking this shit up, I think somebody told them, it's a superior way of thinking. They probably thought the Africans don't know what they're doing. I don't even call that snitching. That is you being a responsible citizen. Okay? It's part of your duty to protect the public purse. These are thieves. Allegedly. But hey, the evidence is here, right? He needs to prove it. Otherwise. Okay. But we're gonna see. So I've explained a few things. Let's get through some pages. Okay. So as you notice, $90,000 made, but nothing from contributions. $60,000 other expenses, but the general expenses like professional fees, fundraising, advertisement, salaries, benefits paid to people, grants paid out as an organization. There is nothing. How are you an organization if money comes in, but then you are not giving it out in grants, you are not giving it out to support a cause? That's stealing. Okay, you don't even need to put allegedly on this. That's just stealing. Let's just be honest. Okay, that's stealing. Now let's go and try to see. This was one of the things that took me a while. Like, where did the $60,000 go, and where did he get that $91,000 from if nobody donated it? So let's go look for these answers. Okay, I'm gonna skip through these pages because this is all mostly questionnaires, which a lot of them he butchered. I'm not gonna go line by line. It's gonna make this video too long. Too boring. We're already 1 hour, 20 minutes in. Damn. So let's skip through what is not relevant. Okay, most of this is questionnaires. Okay, now we're starting to see some expenses. All right. Statement of functional expenses, page 10. This is where it brings us to, right? Remember, we're looking for $60,000. Okay. So where did Tariq Nasheed spend or get that spend his $60,000? Let's see. Advertising and promotion. You see where the stealing comes in? This man who is running a foundation that got no donations. I want you to think about this logically. He's running a foundation that got completely no donations. Made money, which technically to me it's a business. He made money. It could be from YouTube, whatever it was. But he comes in and says that he spent $36,000 running an ad. What ads? How many of you have seen FBA ads on TV or the internet? See, this number 12, usually it's very, very hard to prove when the IRS audits you. This is where he's going to get caught easily. It's very, very difficult to justify how an organization that made only $90,000 spent more than a third of its money advertising, even though they couldn't raise any money. It just logically does not make sense. Nobody, even ninjas, will not run businesses like this in the hood. So what was the ad? YouTube ads, Facebook ads, there should be records of it. These guys are playing with Nana, man. Oh my, they don't know what they're messing with. They don't have an idea. Okay. He spent $363 on information technology. I'll give him that. Maybe a computer here and there. I can understand that one. That makes sense. $196 for office expenses. Okay, that, let's just be honest, that's fair. Some printers, some ink, some computer stuff, computer related things. I think if information technology, the money is low. If you didn't buy new equipment, yeah, that's fine. Maybe that is his internet fee, right? So if you do that, roughly, about $30 a month for internet fees. So I think this number was really, really underestimated, which tells me that they just wrote some numbers in, right? Because your information technology expense would cover your internet, right? And in California, even when I was a student in Illinois with cheap internet at the time, I was paying $40 a month. So if you're paying $40 a month for a whole fiscal year, that's $480. That is just the internet. It doesn't include any, maybe if you have any soft IP protection packages, like I do, I have all these things to protect my IP and my online presence and stuff like that. That expense should be more. That's too low. This means that this ninja just wrote some numbers in. So this is, or maybe this was for the website, but then he did not take out his internet bill as expenses and maybe run the internet through office expenses. Whichever way you look at this, these two expenses are too low. That is very typical of people that just make up numbers. Okay, cheaters will do that. They just make up numbers. Okay, so that's why you're seeing this. He expensed $12,000 for travel, which means if this man goes on vacation, for whatever reason, he takes his kids, his wife, they get on a plane, he writes it off as part of that organization. You know how much for an organization whose focus is in the U.S. to advocate for racism within the U.S., you know how much travel you have to do to use up almost $13,000 in traveling? For an organization that just formed, this number gets very big when you get to his newer years. This number is getting to the 50, 60, 70, 80,000s, bro. This is a crook at work. This is why I wanted to expose this for everybody to logically look at this. This is a crook at work. On Schedule 0, which we're going to go to, he expends another $10,000, which we're going to find where that $10,000 comes from. Because that's what they do. They try to scatter all these minuses so that it looks like, yeah, but we got him. I know this thing. I know this thing so well that every trick he's cooked up, I've found it. I've investigated it. Okay. So this $10,000 here he expense is questionable. The $36,000 in ads is very questionable. These two numbers are not factual. They're too little for California. They're too little. Okay. $12,000 for domestic travel in the U.S. is too much. If he's traveling one trip a month, domestic round trip, each ticket would cost him $1,000 for this number to make sense for an organization that is not raising any money. Like I said, in the newer months, this number goes up big. Okay? This is fraud. Let's just be honest. This is fraud. I don't care if it's used. This is fraud. Okay? Okay. Then, so this is just rounding -1. So this is where that $60,000 comes from. Total functional expenses, 60,000, 36,132 in advertising and promotion. Okay, keep that number in your head because we're gonna get a little bit more into this. Now, this I read you the totals. If you go to line C here, right here, that I've highlighted, management and general expenses. This is the category where he gets that 10,000 from, and then he gets his office expenses. He puts it under management and general expenses. That is pretty inconsistent. On the fundraiser expenses, he shows that he has no fundraising activity. Okay. So this is where he gets the breakdown of that 60,000. Okay. So far in that 60,000, 12,000 travel is very questionable. The 36,000 for ad and promotions is really, really, really questionable. All right. Okay, so these details are not really important because it's like this is now assets, balance sheet stuff. We're not going to get into balance sheets and assets. We're not interested in it because balance sheets is like money that remained, money that gets carried over. We're good with that. So let's go find some more pages. Which one did I just look at? I went way too far ahead of myself. We're looking at 10. Page 8. Page 10. Okay, we just left this one. 10, 11, where's 12? Okay. Well, I know foundation, make sure I don't have any, I should have redacted this, but that's fine. It's okay. Okay, not all of it is showing on the screen anyway, so that's fine. So total revenue, we're still on 91,000. Total expenses, 60,000. Less expenses, 31,000. This is just summarizing everything that we've just discussed, okay? But we are still on the hunt for a more breakdown of that 60K and the source of the 91K. Okay, see which one is this now? This one should have 0 numbers because he didn't show any charity out. Okay, this was another thing that was very shocking when I looked at it. This is his charity status. So this is how he formed the organization, right? He picked the option for an organization that normally receives a substantial part of its support from a governmental unit or from the general public. In this case, he raised no money from the government, right? So there are no government grants. The amount raised, gifts. Okay, so we finally found where the $91,000 came from. Remember, he said there were no donations and there were program services. But on Section A, on Part 2 of Section A, where you're supposed to show the sources of the income, he selects under gifts, grants, contribution, and membership fees received. So Tariq Nasheed is saying that the organization got that $91,000 from gifts, but nobody gave him money. Remember, he says contribution 0. Nobody gave him money. Grants. He said in the earlier stages that there were no grants. Okay? And membership fees received. All that should go in Part 1 where we started. But he didn't want to declare that because that means you have to show these sources as an attachment to this form. So the way you work around this is to come to Section A and kind of loop that money in under program services. This, again, this is very, very typical with tax cheaters. It's not even like Every accountant will tell you this. This is not normal. This is very abnormal shit. Like, if any of us did this on our regular income taxes, we would have audits like crazy. But like I said, for nonprofits, the federal government relies on me and you to report these inconsistencies, like I said, which I am going to. I'm going to run a transcript of all these videos that I do over the next few weeks, get it all together in one transcript. I'll point out each inconsistency line by line, and I'll file this. There's a form you can file to the IRS to whistleblow, and they're going to get on him. I know they will, because I'm estimating over $1 million in tax liability. So this number you're seeing, this is just 2016. This is when this shit is started. This is when this shit is started. It gets worse. I think it gets to a point where he starts to get scared of audits. So that's why he hasn't filed taxes the last few years. This is supposed to be an LLC. This is supposed to be an LLC. It's not supposed to be a nonprofit. Kaz is saying Tariq hurts feelings. I'm not even worried about people's feelings. He hurts people's businesses too. He's telling people to not go to African braid shops. He's having African braid shop women get set up over price negotiations. Some of the things that these women are going through at these braid shops are setups. These are FBAs deliberately going in there to set them up. This is why I'm telling these braid shops to discriminate. If they come there with an accent that is we was, don't serve them. Just say you're closed. You got to discriminate, man. It's not every money that you take. Serve Caribbean, serve other groups. Sometimes the white kids or mixed kids will get a braid. You know, if they show up and they are driving a certain kind of car, they don't have some class to them, man, you can always tell who a classless black person is. Discriminate. You know, I don't see anything wrong with discrimination, man. You have to discriminate to protect yourself sometimes from these people. Delineate. That's the right word. Delineate. All right. All right. So we have an idea now where that 91,000 comes from. And if you notice, he doesn't like to itemize any of it. These are all the tricks that they use. But again, when you report these things, the IRS, because see, for you to get $91,000 in America, somebody will have to send you an invoice somehow. Somebody will have to send you some type of purchasing order if you sold them stuff, right? Somebody will have to send you a receipt of some sort. Or you have to send a receipt if they bought something from you. Like, there has to be an exchange of goods and services or product for you to raise $91,000. There has to be. You don't just, $91,000 doesn't just come out of gifts and grants, even though you've declared that there were no grants and there were no contributions. So is he running his social media memberships and, and revenue at the time as his income and not wanting to pay taxes? That is very, very questionable. This is something IRS auditors can find, because the way they find this is they go and look for his tax. They have this tax form, so they can interpret it the way I'm doing it. But they're just going to take this $91,000 number. They're going to take a statement of his business bank accounts, and they're just going to see the total amount of money that came in from January to December, which most bank statements will give you without even computing. And they will know where exactly this money came from. This is like classic tax evasion. I've never seen anything like this. And they did it so recklessly. Like I said, I've run a tax business before. I would have been more slick doing it than what he did. This is very reckless. And the recklessness in this is because he didn't expect anybody to scrutinize this or make this public, even though it's public information, by the way. But he didn't think that people are going to go through this and look at this. let's continue. Now, so we got clarity on the 91,000 scam. Let's go look for the 60K. Okay, let's go one more page up. Did I go too fast? Okay, we're here. Okay. My mouse is so sensitive, so I have to go slowly. Whoop, there we go. All right, no depreciative assets. Let's keep going. We're 20. Typically, there will be some itemization towards the end, but we're going to see if we'll find it. No. Well-known nation, foundation. Okay. All right, so this is the itemization that I was looking for. Okay. So this is him listing now these expenses. Okay. Somebody talked about website expense. He said he spent $4,566 on a website. Is that website worth $4,566? Somebody that has done web design, I can look at that and see. I mean, if it's selling merchandise on it, most people will use Shopify and integrate that into their usual, build a website on Shopify. And that's usually right at the professional one, it's about maybe $70 a month. So if his website is linked to selling items and he does a premium on Shopify, that's only about roughly about $1,000 a year on that website. You know, that's it. So that number right there, for somebody that is in software, that number is also off. Meals, tax 101. If your tax person rounds numbers up like this, that's how you know. 1,400. This is ghetto taxation. It tells the tax guy just put 1,004. There's no way your meals will round up to 1,400. You know the probability of that happening? You can just do a Google search. Just do ChatGPT or Google search. What is the probability that my total annual meal expense for the whole year will end with 00? Really, really, like I can't do this off the top of my head, but if you take for a 4-digit number like this, I mean, think about like the lottery, right? This is like at least one in maybe 300 or 400 for this to be a thing. Okay. So this is very questionable. Meals and entertainment. Couldn't even spell entertainment. Entertainment. Look at him. So this is where you go in and you type it yourself. Meals and entertainment. But these numbers he's posted here does not add up to 60,000. It doesn't. Okay. Auto 91. Bank charges and fees 132 for contractors. He said he had no contractors. He had no people that work for him. 1,400 meals and expenses. 916 parking. Parking fee for 916. $259 for PayPal fee. $1,600 for research expense. That's probably another bullshit expense he took out. 1,603 website expense. 1,603 research expense. I guess that's what it was. And then website expense 4,566. This is what he put on Schedule O. The Schedule O numbers is the $10,000 that he put up there. So 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 8, 9. This is still a little bit over 10,000. 10. Okay, so I'm estimating about 11,000 here because this is rounded up. Maybe not even round up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then I'll take this one 908. This one and that 9. That and that a little over 10. And then I put all the little ones on. That is close to 11K. So if I go to page, where is that page? If I go over here to 10,589, that doesn't add up to this number. This is a little bit below that. Close enough, but he still doesn't show a breakdown, which you're supposed to. On Schedule O, the last form, you're supposed to show this breakdown, where that $36,000 came from. So you have an idea how this works, right? These are the scammers calling Africans scammers, right? This is now the 2016. We will see in the next few weeks, because I want to stagger this out. In the next few weeks, you're going to see how big these numbers get and how different the tricks play out. He gets more sophisticated as the years go by because now the money gets bigger, right? And let me put this motherfucker out of here. The money gets bigger, right? The money gets bigger. So this is just when he starts, but I'll break down more of exactly where most of the money goes as the years go by. I'm going to see if I can find our website before we wrap up. I think I have answered almost all the questions, right? So money in was questionable where the money came from. Money out, clearly very questionable. He's not explaining a lot of that. The expenses he's putting up is very inconsistent. He mentions donations, but he doesn't report any of them. No salaries for the CEOs, but he's expensing his personal lifestyle, whatever, like all the things, his travel, everything is expensed. We talked about the lack of structure, why it's a one-man show. Yep, I think I covered everything. So that is Tariq's 2016. I'll give it a few days because I have Dennis Sterling tomorrow. And we'll see how the breakdown and the resharing of the video goes. We'll allow it to soak into the algorithm a little bit. And then we'll do some more. Like we'll kind of release it slowly because you don't want to put everything out there like that, right? You want to give them some time to scramble a little bit, right? You don't want to just give them one shot. You want to give it slowly, slow punching. Hey, you never know. Maybe they'll reach a deal, right? Maybe they'll come like how O'Shea came and made a deal. Maybe they'll come over here and say, hey, bro, this thing is too hot. Let's make a deal. Okay, I'm going to tell my troops to cease fire and not disrespect the Africans. They can talk about other things, they're not like us, all those other things. They can talk about their lineage and whatever they want to do within themselves. We don't give a fuck about that shit. They can go ahead and do that stuff. But they'll stay away from the disrespect of Caribbean people and the African people and leave us to live our lives without their bullshit. And then we will return the favor by not doing videos about their bullshit, right? It'll both ways. Then there'll be a ceasefire. There might be small YouTube channels that will still make videos here and there. But once the leader starts to tell them that, hey, we got to do this because these guys are starting to get into federal territory now, they'll back off, which to me is victory. And I will back off too. So maybe we did 2016 today. They may not even wait for us to get to 2022. And they're definitely not going to wait for me to start filing this documentation that goes to the IRS, okay? Let me see if I think I covered everything, but let me go up here. If you have any questions while I do this, let me know. I'll try to answer it. Okay. There's a hotline, this thing works better. Let me find you the name of the form. This works better if you file a whistleblower complaint. I'm trying to find you the name of the form, but I would say reserve that to me because I have a lot of the line by line items that are very questionable. I've written them down. It's called Form 13909. Okay, form. I'll put it in the chat. Go back to my other screen. So this is the form. It's called Form 13909, and it's the tax exempt organization complaint. Okay, this is usually for 501c, right? You can file this form with the evidence to the IRS. You can do it either anonymously, or you can just do it without being anonymous. From my research, anonymous complaints are usually typically people that work in that organization that are like whistleblowing, so they don't want to be fired. And those usually don't hold a lot of weight. The IRS doesn't really typically pursue that because if they need to call somebody, there's nobody to call. The way I'm going to do it is the best way to do it. And I'm going to do it for multiple years. So I'm going to oversaturate the IRS with this information that eventually somebody's going to look at it, right? Because usually only journalists kind of look at this. They do it for bigger corporations. So these small ones are able to, like, a lot of ninjas use this system to evade taxes, right? It's very common. And whenever you hear a rapper was charged because he owed taxes and he went to prison, this is what usually gets them caught. This is a very common thing, especially out of California. This is a very useful trick over there. So what I'll do will get the Fed's attention. I know that for a fact, right? It'll get their attention. So I'll file this complaint for each year of tax record that I have. So for my estimate, let me go back and close this out. For my estimate, there's going to be, I'll close this window because we're done. If I go over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have 6 separate complaints because each form has a different set of things he's done wrong. They're not the same, really. Like the stealing goes like completely off the chains, bro. Like if I just show you, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if I show you years like 2022, these numbers are in the millions, bro. Let me show you 2022 briefly. We're not going to break it down like we did. I just want to give you an idea. So I'll go to my screen share. Okay. Just like we did for the other one. You see how big the numbers get when we get to this year? Okay. Almost $2 million. As you guys can see, right? It's almost $2 million when we get into this. So we're going to do this at a later stage. I need to redact some things. My goal is not to do anything malicious. And he doesn't stay at this address anyway, so it's not a big deal. But these are some big... No, I have to redact. I didn't want to zoom in because I have to redact his address and a few things so that he's not doxxed. So let's do that when we get to 2022. But 2021 and 2022, these grifts get into the millions. And the tax evasion numbers get bigger and bigger. Okay, we started at 90,000. We're already in the 2 millions. Okay, so they might think this. No, it's not a joke, bro. This is some serious cooked up bullshit that, he got over himself. He thought he was untouchable, but we're going to make him feel the pressure. And I know he will, because I've seen him react to people when they talk about these things. Okay, when they talk about these things, I'm trying to see if I can find his website. If anybody knows it, you should let me know. Whatever it is. This is the website. No. Let's see what I can tell from the source here. In statement. Okay, let's go. All right. Let me save this guy on. Okay. I'll do this offline. I have some tools that I can use around this. Sorry about that. Let's see. But this is not a $4,500 website. It has a donate button. It doesn't sell any products. This is very basic. Contact us. There's no information on the website. Look at that. You can't even contact anybody. It doesn't look like you can sell anything on it. None of the buttons are working. Its web backup is pretty, I would say, out of date. Like, we don't use this type of fonts. This is like old CSS programmed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell there's no really JavaScript here, right? So for my programmers, you guys probably know this. There's no JavaScript here. You don't see any like visuals or anything moving, right? It's a very static website. And all these links are not working except for the home button. The home works, the donate works, right? So the home works, the donate works. Oh, there we go. The about us works, but these are all static pages with no, you see, as you can see, this is an image. So you upload an image, static image. This is like writing a Microsoft Word thing where you put your mission up, right? Okay. So that is it here. This is all static. Nothing is moving. Nothing beautiful is happening. Our story. No, this is not. This is not a good website. This is not a $4,000 website. Okay, so a lot needs to be answered. These are just people posting blogs. There is no. There's really, this is like the most recent vlog. It was posted in 2019. This website has not even been maintained since 2019. You know, so it's not, there's really nothing going on there. It look like the old school way of doing web. This is not, there's no graphics in this thing. That was the word I was looking for, which is JavaScript. So this thing was written in HTML and CSS, no graphics whatsoever. It's like what do you call those? Like, yeah, WordPress. Good, that's the word I was looking for. This is like a WordPress. This is a $10 website, bro. So you got the news, right? I gave it to you. We're gonna wrap this up. Tomorrow we got Denise Sterling. I think tomorrow's stream is gonna be interesting when you guys see when I react to Denise Sterling's video tomorrow. It's going to be crazy, man. Yeah, this thing is not a great website at all, bro. Yeah, this is not a great website. Let's see. All right, so I got some. What are we writing here? Okay, standard HTML. This is actually, oh, is that HTML5? Yeah, standard HTML. A little bit of CSS. I told you there is no JavaScript here. It's CSS and HTML. Very, very basic. Like this is a web design 101. This is like the first web page you build when you start. uh, this is the first one you build, man. Yeah. But yeah, nothing complicated here, man. These are uh, oh yeah, nothing complicated here. Yeah, good call. Careful. It's like, yeah, look at the source page. Yeah, bro, this really simple HTML. Nothing complicated at all, man. These are the types we used to build just like in learning how to do websites in the old days. It's not even modern. Like you don't see any graphics, nothing moving, no JavaScript. That is not a and look at the color profile. This is like a very low grade color profile. The colors nowadays look much better than this. And it doesn't show any update. You see, I told you these blacks, man. I want to be nice to the blacks today. I want to be nice to the blacks today because I want them to be able to distribute this video. So I don't want it to be too critical. But one of the things that I usually complain about is you find a lot of people that don't see things through. Every human being can have that, where you start something and you don't typically see it through. You just do a little bit, and you quit, and you move on to something else. Then you quit, and you move on to something else. When I was going through Dennis Sterling today, I found out that the guy was a big time passport bro. He was going to the Dominican Republic to film and take pictures with prostitutes, and talking all kinds of bullshit about talking all kinds of bullshit about black women, and now all of a sudden he's blaming us. Dennis Sterling is blaming black immigrants for why black America has low marital rates and how they can't get along. Oh, he has a Jamaican baby mama. Yeah, that guy is all screwed up, man. Good for him that he was able to go to law school. He had to get something, but he's a mess. Imagine if that guy is your lawyer. You're not gonna win any cases, bro. Like I said, I'm around lawyers a lot. I'm married to one. I'm around lawyers. There's a way they conduct themselves. When they meet, how polite and nice. They're like medical doctors. They're really nice. They're like, there's a certain respect layer that they carry. They carry themselves very well. This guy is one of those guys that maybe was academically smart, but raised ghetto. And that ghetto part is what is showing up, he lost the case to somebody that represented himself pro se. I wouldn't be surprised, bro. Also, here's the thing. I mean, now I'm really around the legal profession so much, again, due to marriage. I'm around it so much that I know not all lawyers make money. Some of them are really, really struggling, especially the ones that are sole practitioners doing PI, personal injury, ambulance chasers, okay? If you are a PI, like Corey Holcomb's lawyer, and that is very typical with black folks that go to these HBCU law schools in Houston. They typically don't pass the bar exam on one attempt. So after they've passed, they struggle to get corporations to employ them because the corporations don't trust their intellect. Some of these guys take 4 attempts to pass the bar exam, right? So this is why people like Dennis Sterling, as soon as they get that weight off their back and they pass the bar, they go straight into private practice and they go to try to serve the community through ambulance chasing, a PI, so they can get money from insurance companies. But that is a very competitive practice area. It's very competitive. This is why he's become a YouTuber. And I was looking at his YouTube channel. His channel is not doing good, bro. Dennis Sterling's channel is struggling. We're going to wrap up here in a bit. Damn, we've hit a 2-hour mark. Dennis is really struggling, but that's a video for tomorrow. All right, we'll get on him tomorrow. But the views are not viewing. So I wonder how he's paying his bills with this shit, bro. These are the people that are, look at him. Almost 100,000 subs. But if you look, actually, let me social blade this. Because I like the social blade versions better. It kind of gives me a breakdown into the numbers. I was planning to do this tomorrow, but let me just look at it briefly. And then we'll wrap this up. If you look at Dennis Sterling podcast. Okay. He's doing about high end is $3,200 a month. You could do a whole lot better than a lawyer, bro. In legal, if he knows what he's doing. I know he's got multiple channels, but this is the main channel. YouTube doesn't pay like that. I don't know why all these guys are giving up what could be potential professions to do shit that makes, look, some of these videos are making $16, $5, $8, $4. That's like my views, bro. Why would you give up a profession to do this? And then now you're doing it on an ideological thing, so it doesn't really have an upside. So these channels are not going to grow. He used to be a red pillar. He's been all over the place ideologically. Then he became a passport bro. He was promoting Passport Brothers. And then now he joined the Tariq shit. And he's trying to become the face of it. He's trying to be the most ridiculous person by making these new videos. That video he did, I think that's a video from Monday. He only made $4. Shitting on Africans for $4, bro. YouTube is a new rapper. True, man. YouTube is a new rapper. Now, before I go, what is the Nana K saying? Some of the common things I say that you guys like the most. What is like one of the things that I say? I'll give you an example. The blacks are entertainers. Entertainers are jokers, right? Entertainers are clowns, right? That's one of my things I say. Is there anything that I say that you guys like? Let me know. Let me know in the chat before we wrap this up. What is some of the Nana Kwaku slangs that you guys have come to like over the last 6 months that we've been doing this? Yeah, I saw that. It's on my queue for tomorrow, man. I got it. He has to hurry up and delete them, man, because I got his ass tomorrow. Tomorrow, I got his ass. He's going to regret making that $4 on YouTube. Oh, I got him. I'm going to get him real good tomorrow, man. I'm going to get him real good. I got him before about a few months ago. I thought he backed down, but it looks like he didn't get the message. So I'm going to get him real good. And then we're going to go back to Phil Scott. This year I'm going to be on these motherfuckers, man. I'm going to be on them real hard. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. I got to take my ass to bed. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. We got Dennis Sterling tomorrow, man. Good night.